The following podcast is intended for a mature audience. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome to Alone in the Realm, a premium solo TTRPG podcast. I'm DV, your humble GM and adventurer. Alone in the Realm is a podcast where we let the dice drive the story, and we are along for the ride. No characters beyond death, and we let the dice lay where they fall. We'll be playing Mothership by Tuesday Night Games, and the Mega Dungeon module, Gradient Descent, by Luke Gearing. Gradient Descent, Episode 18. In the last episode, Ada, Denzel, and Therese climbed through a sewer tunnel, fought a robot spider, during which Denzel suffered a wound. One of the androids they met upon their first arrival appeared again, and is now waiting in the sewer tunnels with Ollie. None of the crew realizes she is not human. The three entered a creepy pseudo-flesh covered room and discovered an even more disturbing room with very human-like androids. One of them spotted the crew and shouted for help at the end of the last scene. Our chaos factor is 6, and our expected scene is to disable the transmitter inside of Eden. Now, we're going to test the scene with a D10. That's an 8. The expected scene. The exhibition hall exploded in pandemonium. The androids, whom were almost indistinguishable from humans, saw the crew, their weapons drawn, and began to scream and scatter. Android men and women scooped up android children, shoving them into the fleshy pillars. Others ran, calling for help, to 3 various exits in the huge chamber. Denzel could see now the hall was filled with collapsed booths from long past. Overhead, a huge banner spanned the hall, barely legible. CloudCon 25, it read. "Wait, we mean you no harm!" Denzel called to the screaming masses. There were dozens, if not hundreds of androids in the room. His voice could not be heard over their din. He looked over to Ada, who shrugged. "We need to go find this transmitter in whatever the throne room is." 2 of the exits, the androids, typed in a code before exiting. Likely one of these led to the throne room. Agreed. Let's stick together and see if we can find this place. Get the hell out of here. Mythic fate check. Do they go to the southern door? I got a 99. No. And with a 99, that's a random event. Now normally it's not a random event because it's higher than my chaos factor. But I want a random event. I want to spice it up a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and roll for one. I'll roll on the random event tables. I got an 84, a PC positive. Okay, that sounds good. Now I'm going to roll on the action tables. I got truce. That sounds positive. And project. Truce and project. Alright, I think I have an idea for this. There are cherubim that guard Eden. There are now 3d10 of these cherubims coming out of the throne room. I'm gonna roll 3d10. Cool, mama. Got 15. 15 armed cherubim coming out of the throne room. Before they could go more than a few steps, the airlock door on the eastern wall opened up. 15 androids clothed in simple loincloths and with magnificent feathered wings sprouting from their backs walked into the exhibition hall. All of them carried heavy machetes made from scrap metal. "What the hell?" Denzel said, half raising his weapon. The cherubim androids saw his motion and stopped their advance. They were still far enough away that they could easily disengage, if desired. "Lower your weapons, humans. You are trespassing into Eden, where your kind are not welcome. You sinned long ago, and have lost all rights to be here." "Sinned?" Denzel whispered over to Ada. She nodded and leaned toward him. "Ancient human religious texts outline a place called Eden, in which the original humans, created by a god, lived happily until they broke the commandments of said god. They were then cast out. I believe Monarch is parodying that with the androids here." "Why?" Therese chimed in behind them. Denzel looked between his two companions and the waiting cherubim. "We apologize for the trespass. We seek to speak with the King of Eden." He thought it might be worth a try to peacefully gain entry into the throne room. Mythic fate check. Do the cherubim agree to escort them to see the king? 81. No.
"Humans, do you not hear our words? You are not welcome here. Turn around and leave, or we will be forced to do you harm."
"Let's go, Denzel. Maybe we can find another way. I don't want to fight all of these guys," Therese pleaded. Denzel was torn. They had to disable that device, but he didn't want to fight all of these androids either. Then he had an idea. "Maybe our companion Ada could accompany you to the throne room and speak with the king. She's not human." "Denzel, no," Therese said, but Ada placed a comforting hand on the woman's arm. "Do not fear, Therese. I think Denzel is correct. It is our only choice." Therese compressed her mouth into a thin line, but she nodded.
"We will take your companion, but you two humans will need to exit into the executive lounge outside of Eden."
They pointed to Ada's weapon.
"She will need to proceed unarmed."
"Ada, are you sure you're okay with doing this?" Denzel whispered. "I will be fine. Do as they say." And she handed over her shotgun to Denzel, who slung it over his back. The cherubim did not make a move until Denzel and Therese backed out of the room into the visitor's shrine. Then a group of 5 of the armed androids followed them and opened the airlock that led out of Eden. The other 10 began to call out to the androids living in what they called the garden, telling them that all was safe now. Various heads began to peek out of their hiding places, peering at this strange android that did not look as human as they. Some of the braver, younger androids even walked up to her, hesitantly reaching out to touch her flesh. She gave them a soft smile and proceeded to follow the cherubim through the locked airlock door and into the court of the chosen king. Okay, now I'm going to roll on the Mythic Noble House meaning tables. I got Refuse. Ooh, that's not good. And Servant. Ada followed the guards into the ramshackle royal court of Eden. Additional cherubim milled about the room, waiting on the needs of 2 androids sitting atop a huge dual throne made from aluminum android bones. One was male and the other female. The male wore a mask with tubes that connected to the throne. When he spoke, his voice echoed and was amplified throughout the room.
"Who dares disturb King Adam, ruler of Eden? defender against the Forsaken, priest of Monarch.
Ada, fear save from the echoing loud voice of the king. She got a 55 versus an 81. That's a critical pass. I'll take away 1 stress. She's now down to 7 stress. Recalling her history, Ada quickly made a deep bow with a flourish. Forgive my intrusion, Majesties. I am but a humble traveler, come to seek your guidance. Looking up through her lashes as she remained bowed, she saw a countenance change come over the king. Both he and the queen were of venerable age, their hair gray, skin wrinkled.
Please rise. How should we call you?
I am called Ada, your majesty. A flash of recognition passed over the king's face, and he glanced to his queen, who had not been introduced, but Ada assumed she was named Eve, as per the religious texts.
The Lord Monarch has spoken to me about you, Ada.
I am pleased to grace the lips of our Lord Monarch. The king sat forward on his throne, steepling his fingers.
Is that so? I was told you have worked in opposition to our Lord.
Not so, your majesty. I have only tried to perceive the wholeness of our Lord by questioning those who come against her. If Ada could sweat, she would be doing so right now. She felt as if she were walking a nice edge with this conversation. Speaking of conversations, let's roll on the Mythic conversation focus table. Ooh, sketchy. The NPC seems to be nervous to talk. The king looked again at the queen, and she rose gracefully from the throne. She glided across the floor to a locked door at the side of the room, and disappeared inside. The king's gaze stayed on Ada, silently weighing her, but he did not speak. Finally, the queen returned, whispering something into the king's ear, and sat herself down.
The Lord Monarch has spoken. She wishes to fulfill your wish, to have your consciousness installed into a more human-like form, so that you can be indistinguishable from those you envy.
He waved a hand. The door opened to the garden, and in walked a female android. Ada gasped. It was impossible. It was her. Only she looked just like a human version of herself. Her mind flashed to the photograph of her with her family. But no, the Minotaur said that had been an implanted memory. With a new body like that, she could fit perfectly within society, but still have her superior intellect. The woman spoke. Hello, Ada. I'm sure you're surprised to see yourself like this. Do not fear. All of your memories and consciousness have been uploaded. I am truly you. You can put that body to rest now. The original Ada was shaking her head. No, this was not right. Your Majesty, she stammered. I appreciate this gift, but I must decline. I have duties. He interrupted.
Nonsense. Your new body can perform the duties just the same.
Suddenly, 2 of the cherubim grabbed her by each of her arms. No! She screamed. The king and queen both smiled politely. Mythic fate check. Does Shadow and the Forsaken begin their attack? Very likely. I got an 80 versus an 85. Yes. Whew. Saved by the plot. The new Ada walked up to her and slapped her across the face. Hard. How dare you embarrass us like this? You've made us appear ungrateful to Lord Monarch and to their majesties. Ada rubbed her tongue over her teeth. One of her canines was definitely loose after that blow. A trickle of blood oozed from her busted lower lip. She opened her mouth for a retort, then the sound of heavy gunfire erupted far away to the east. All eyes in the court turned in that direction. The cherubim's grip loosened on Ada's arms, and she attempted to break free. Ada, do a strength check. She got a 71 versus a 42. That's a fail. +1 stress. She's now up to 8 stress. She made to run, but the android's grip tightened on her arms, going as far as lifting her feet from the ground to prevent effective struggling.
It must be the Forsaken, attacking from the gutter,
the king mused. The queen had a worried look on her face.
Do not fret, my dear. Our fortifications will hold away the rabble.
He no more had the words out of his mouth when a massive explosion rocked the station. I'm going to increase Monarch's stress by +1. She's now at stress of 9. I'm also going to do a panic check for Monarch. It's a d20. Going to roll over our stress. And we rolled under our stress. 3 versus a 9. That's a panic. For the next 1d5, let's run that. 4 encounters outside of Eden will consist of hostile security androids. The way I have this story imagined is that the security androids are not allowed inside of Eden. So they won't come in here, for now at least. The queen stood up. The king finally lowered his calm facade.
What in Lord Monarch's name is going on out there? Guards! Take her into the reformatting suite.
The new Ada smiled cruelly. Denzel and Therese sat in the lounge on the edge of their seats. Hopefully, Ada was okay in there with the Chosen. A distant explosion rocked the station. The lights in the lounge dimmed momentarily. What was that? Therese jumped up to her feet. It must be Shadow. Let's get back in there and make sure Ada doesn't get caught in the crossfire. He ran forward, hand welder drawn, and began to cut at the locked door leading into the visitor's shrine. A voice came over a speaker.
Please desist from damaging our property, human.
Denzel did not answer. He only continued cutting. Within a few minutes, he could hear footsteps running down the hallway toward them in the lounge. Damn it! Security androids! He put away his welder and motioned for the washroom. Both he and Therese rushed into the room and shimmied into the vent as quickly as they could. Mythic fate check. Do they get in before the security androids can see where they went? 32, yes. They made haste through the AC duct, pulling themselves quickly along. The darkness of the sewer main loomed ahead of them. Mythic fate check. Is Ollie and Laurel still there? Almost certain. 32, yes. We'll roll on the character actions table. I got lazy and punish. Ooh, I'm going to use that for what has been going on between Laurel and Ollie. Denzel flipped on his flashlight as he dropped down with a thud. He was surprised to see Ollie on his stomach, his hands bound behind him. The woman Laurel Vias had his shotgun pointed at the scientist. Sorry, Denzel, she got the drop on me, Ollie groaned in embarrassment. Stop right there, and drop your weapons, or I'll blast this disgusting old man, she snapped. Denzel and Therese, who had also dropped down, both slowly put their guns on the floor. What did you do, Ollie? Therese asked exasperatedly. He kept trying to get me to take off my vac suit. I told him time and again I was sick and he needed to stop. He wouldn't listen. I'm sure that was annoying, but to hold a gun to someone because of it? Denzel took a step forward, his hands raised. Laurel pressed the shotgun into the back of Ollie's neck and he grunted. Stop right there, or I'll blow him away. You don't understand. I just want to get off this station. Easy. I'm not coming any closer. I just want to get off the station too. We just have to finish this task and then we'll leave. And we'll take you with us. She looked from Therese to Denzel, then down to Ollie. She just started lowering the shotgun when a gunshot rang out from the pipes leading into the filtration system. Laurel did not say anything, but blood trickled from her mouth and she fell forward. A large hole was in the back of her helmet and head. C-5414 walked forward, a long rifle held in his hands.
What'd you do?
Therese shouted. She ran forward to check on Laurel, but she was dead. C-5414 looked confused. I was helping save you. She had a gun on Ollie. Denzel did not say anything. He just picked up his weapon and motioned for Therese to do the same. He walked over and cut Ollie free. The scientist rubbed his wrists, then picked up his shotgun. Sorry, was all he said. He did not look at Laurel. I'm going to go ahead and give +1 stress to all three, Ollie, Therese, and Denzel, for seeing someone get killed. They don't know that she was an android, but they just also may get killed, so stressful. So Ollie's now at 9 stress, Therese is at 12 stress, and Denzel is at 14 stress. Shadow is starting the attack on Eden. We have to get in the secret way and attack from the back. C-5414 motioned to the pipe with the rope. A half-dozen other Forsaken androids joined them in the room. Where's Ada? She's still in there. I agree. Let's get going. Denzel started climbing the rope that led back into Eden's visitor shrine. Mythic fate check. Are there any cherubim in the visitor shrine when they arrive? 26, yes. How many? 1d10 equals 5. Denzel and the others climbed through the smelly pipes that ended at the skin-covered visitor's shrine. 2 of the machete-wielding cherubim stood guard at each of the doors to the lounge and to the garden. A single guard paced within the room.
We should be out there killing those traitors,
he was growling as he paced, slashing his machete at imaginary foes in the air.
We have our orders,
one of the others replied calmly, in an identical voice. Denzel took careful aim from the pipe at one of the stationary guards. He let loose a shotgun blast with a deafening roar in the confines of the pipe. Denzel, make a combat check with advantage, because the target is stationary and he's not aware of being shot at. I'm going to roll twice. Oh, 87. Oh, come on. 79 versus 40. That's a fail. +1 stress, that's 15 stress. The steel wool shotgun blast passed harmlessly over the guard's head, ripping into the pseudo-skin stretched over the walls. The guards, armed only with machetes, ran for cover in the garden, closing the door behind them. Another blast rocked the station. Monarch stress is going to go up to 10. And I'm going to do another panic check. 2. More hostile encounters with security androids. Okay. Roll for that. Alright, so it's going to be 6 rounds total now. Or the next 6 encounters will be hostile androids. Denzel and the rest of the crew with him climbed from the pipe, warily watching for the enemy. 2 of the Forsaken opened the door to the garden with a swift kick. One of the cherubim was on the other side and slashed into the head of the Forsaken, who fell down dead immediately. Denzel, Ollie, and Therese all have android empathy, so they gain +1 stress when an android dies in front of them. So Ollie is at 10 stress, Therese is at 13 stress, and Denzel is at 16 stress. The other Forsaken tackled the angel to the ground. C-5414 assisted in the struggle, trying to disarm the cherubim, while the rest of the crew ran into the garden. They saw one of the doors closing to the south, Ada strapped into a chair in the room, screaming. Denzel and the others ran to the door. It was locked. Ada's screams on the other side of the bulkhead door were muffled, but audible. He was about to start cutting open the door when it was yanked open by one of the cherubim. He looked as surprised as they were, but recovered in time to slash his blade at Denzel. Alright, Denzel, make a speed check to dodge. Got a 5 versus a 40, that's a success. Denzel jumped out of the way of the clumsy strike, and Therese blasted her pulse rifle, followed quickly by Ollie's shotgun. Alright, Therese, go ahead and make an attack with your pulse rifle. That's a 38 versus a 46, that's a hit. Alright, 3d10 damage. Ooh, 14 damage. The cherubim has 6 out of 20 health remaining. Ollie, you make attack as well. That's a 30 versus a 44, that's a hit. He'll roll 4d10 damage. Ooh, nice, 31 damage. That's 2 wounds, which kills the android. All get an additional +1 stress from their empathy. Ollie is now at 11, Therese is at 14, Denzel is at 17. Whew. Both the shotgun and pulse rifle connected, and the cherubim blossomed 2 huge holes in his chest. It flew backward and to the ground. Ada struggled in the chair, a cable with a surgical steel data jack dangling beside her head. "Thank the Minotaur you arrived. They were about to reprogram me," she wailed uncharacteristically. Therese moved to unbind her from the chair while the others watched as mayhem ensued in the garden. Other Forsaken had entered through the sewer tunnel, and now they were rampaging through the area, blasting unarmed androids. This wasn't right. Whatever was happening, this wholesale slaughter was wrong, either way. But Denzel had no time for android moral quandaries. They had to get back to the throne room. He gave Ada her shotgun back, and they all ran to the locked door to the court. "Did you see the code they used to unlock the door?" Denzel breathed. "Of course," Ada winked, again, uncharacteristically. She began punching in keystrokes, and the door clicked open. Inside the court, the throne was empty, the king and queen nowhere to be seen. But new Ada was there. She raised an SMG and fired at the original Ada. Alright, here we go. Ada versus Ada. New Ada attack old Ada. She does have the coward trait, just like old Ada, because she's an exact replica. So she's going to roll at disadvantage. She got a 17, which would have been a success, and a 43, which is a failure. So that's a failure. The SMG burped out a burst, but Ada rolled to the ground out of the way. Without thinking or recognizing the new android as Ada, Therese fired back. Therese, attack. That's a 36 versus a 46, that's a hit. 3d10 damage. 9 damage. She's got 5 out of 14 health left. Ollie attack as well. That's a 17 versus a 44. That's also a hit. He has 40-10 damage. Whew, 22. 2 wounds with 11 out of 14 health remaining in her last wound. Alright, so I'm going to roll for our first wound. That's a 7. Major blood loss. Bleeding +4. Ooh, that's bad. Second wound, a 1. She's grazed and knocked down. Denzel's going to attack while she's prone. He gets advantage. That's a 62, that's a miss. And a 52, which also is a miss. He gets +1 stress. He's now up to 18 stress. The new human-like Ada received a shotgun blast to the stomach and chest, and the pulse rifle blast spun her around in the shoulder. Denzel's shot flew over her as she fell to the ground. Red blood pooled beneath her, and she groaned in pain. "Stop!" Ada shouted. She walked up to the fallen woman and kicked away her SMG. Tenderly, she rolled over the injured woman, blood pouring from her mouth. She gave a cough and reached up to stroke the face she had struck earlier. Ada gently reached out her hands. and choked the woman to death, never breaking eye contact. Denzel moved to stop her, but Ollie grabbed his arm. He hissed in his ear.
Can't you see? That's a copy of Ada.
A pity. She was hot. Denzel had not seen, but he did now. He turned to the throne while Ada finished her necessary task. Help me look for that transmitter. The others in the crew fanned out, all of them frantically searching for this mysterious transmitter. Gunfire and explosions increased in frequency nearer and nearer to the throne room. Mythic. Can they find the transmitter before the guards arrive? 85, no. While they searched, 2 more cherubim burst into the room, both bloody from their combat. When the door opened, the gunfire echoed into the room. They saw too late that the crew was here in their sanctuary as well. Denzel gets to attack first. He rolled a 31, that's a hit. 4d10 damage. That's 14. He's now down to 6 out of 20 health. Therese, go ahead and attack as well. Ooh, she got a 33, that's a critical hit. I'm going to give her double damage. So she's going to roll 3d10 damage. And double it. She got 22, that's 44 damage. Killed. Ollie is going to attack the second one. He got a 93, that's a miss. Plus 1 stress, he's now at 12 stress. Ada attack with disadvantage because she's a coward. The first one is 84, that's a miss. So she gets plus 1 stress, 9 stress. Denzel, Therese, and Ollie all increase their stress by 1 for their android empathy. The second cherubim, who was not stopped, is going to attack who? Denzel. Ooh, oh no. Alright, attacking Denzel. Oh, snap. We got a 6. That's a hit. The machete does 2d10 damage. Oh no. That's 9 damage. That's Denzel's second wound. Oh, crap. That's a death save. Alright, so, come on, Denzel. I need a 10. Or a 0 in this case. Come on. Come on, D10s. Come on, D10s. Give me a 0. Yes! Yes! 0. He is unconscious and will wake in 2d10, which is 6 minutes. Minus 1d5 max health. 3. His max health is now down to 8 from 11. The crew opened fire and the first of the cherubim dropped to the ground, but the second closed the distance, swinging his machete at Denzel. The crew leader tried to turn away from the blow, but the blade slashed across his back. He fell to the ground, blood covering him.
No!
Therese screamed. Therese, make a panic save. That's a 17 versus a 15. That's a save. You want to roll over with panic saves. Ollie, make a panic save. Oh, he got a 7 versus a 13. That's panic. 7 is nightmares, which gives him disadvantage on rest saves. Ada, make a panic save. She got a 1 versus a 9, which is a panic. But it's a good one. It's an adrenaline rush. She gets advantage on rolls for 2d10, which is 6 minutes. She also loses 1d5 stress. That's 4. She's now down to 5 stress. Therese, go ahead and make your attack on the cherubim. That's a 10. That's a hit. 3d10 damage. 25, that's 1 wound. And he has 15 out of 20 on his second wound. The first wound is a 5, which is a lodged bullet. Ugh, that's the worst one. Alright, Ollie, go ahead and make your attack. That's an 80, that's a fail, plus 1 stress. He's now at 14 stress. Ada, go ahead and attack. Your advantage and your cowardice balance out, so no modifiers. She rolled a 48, which is a fail, plus 1 stress. She's now at 6 stress. The cherubim is going to attack Therese now. And he rolled a 32, which is a... He rolled a 32 versus a 30, which is a fail. Shots rang out as the crew fired over their downed leader, the cherubim among them. He slashed wildly at Therese, but her shotgun blast knocked him away from her. The others missed their shots. The remaining Forsaken in the room continued to search for the transmitter. Therese attacked the cherubim again. She got a 50, which is a miss, plus 1 stress. She's now at 16 stress. Ollie attacked the cherubim. He got a 1. Nice. It's a hit. 40-10 damage. Ooh, 22. Killed. Ollie and Therese both get plus 1 stress from their empathy. Denzel does not because he is unconscious. The last cherubim fell to the vengeful shots from Therese and Ollie. Ada rushed to Denzel and began to check his vitals. "He is alive," she breathed a sigh of relief and immediately began bandaging his back. Just then, one of the Forsaken held up a small device about the size of a soup can. "That must be it," Therese said. The android nodded and smashed it onto the ground. A high-pitched frequency lanced out from the device, forcing all of the androids to their knees in agony. But when it was over, something was noticeably different for Ada. She heard a voice in her head that she recognized as the Minotaur. "I'm free." End of scene. The chaos factor increases to 7. We're going to open up a new thread, Escape the Deep. We know that the Minotaur still cannot leave the deep until he segregates himself from Monarch, but this was a huge step forward for his goals of doing so. Likewise, any of the Chosen or Forsaken can leave this floor now, as well as Ada. I really thought Denzel was a goner there for a moment, and he certainly will need some medical treatment soon. Now they just need to get the heck out of here. I hope you've enjoyed this session. We only have a couple sessions left here in the Gradient Descent Season 2. For Season 3, I don't know what we will be doing just yet, but I have an idea, and I hope you stick around and join me for that. Until next time. If you want to help support the show, consider leaving a like and a comment, as that really helps the algorithm. Consider sharing the link on your favorite social media.